If you want peace in your marriage, hold yourself to a higher standard than your spouse does. So this is pretty straightforward. This one is going to reduce a lot of conflict in your relationship for a couple of reasons. Number one, if your standard for yourself is higher than your spouse's, that means that you're going to be going, in their eyes, above and beyond what is expected of you. And then they're going to have very little room to complain about your behavior. For example, if your spouse asks you to take the garbage out by 7 p.m., but you take it out by 6:30, no complaints there. Or if your spouse asks you to make it on time for dinner, but you show up a little early, again, there's going to be no possible complaints there. And you're probably even going to make your spouse happy that you're really taking their requests seriously. So no more complaints from the love of your life is great, but the even bigger deal with having a higher standard for yourself than your spouse does is that it's going to start to unravel some of that resentment that you might have for your spouse placing expectations on you. So everyone works this way. We are much more motivated by what comes from inside of us, our own goals, our own standards or expectations, than we are on expectations that are placed on us by another person or a circumstance or anything external to ourselves. And so if you are actually living up to your own standards and they just so happen to be higher than what your spouse wants from you, that feeling that you're being controlled or even manipulated, or any risk of you resenting your spouse for trying to get you to live a certain way, that's immediately going to start to dissipate, because these are now your expectations. These are now your goals for yourself. And that's going to be a lot more motivational and give you a lot more of a sense of freedom and power and autonomy. Some pushback I often get from clients on this point is that we have the question, why can't our spouse just love us for who we are? Why can't I just be who I am? Why do I have to change? Why do I have to improve or grow for my spouse to love me? And this question, although it's really common, I think it really misses the point of what love is. So love is wanting what's best for someone else and actually doing what you think is in the best interest of another person. And so if your spouse loves you, she's going to have high standards for you because she knows that what is best for you is actually helping you become a better version of yourself. I think most of us can agree that a better outcome for our life is to be a better person than we are right now. That's always the goal, is to get a little bit better over time. But if our spouse has an expectation of mediocrity for us, I think that actually points more to a lack of love than any sincere love. Of course, your spouse needs to accept you and understand that you have limitations just like they have limitations, but that's very different than accepting that you're never going to try to be a better version of yourself. Additionally, if you truly love your spouse, you're going to want what's best for him or her, and that's going to look like you giving your spouse a better version of yourself. So the love goes both ways, which means the high standards have to go both ways.